26 new players on the roster. That's kind of interesting when you start looking at all the different position groups, and obviously the competition at a lot of the groups. Quarterback being one, obviously that's one that you look at and go, okay, what are we going to do? That's not me. It's not my deal. So I don't know who's supposed to mess with that. But we got a humming going. But I thought for the first day for new guys practicing and trying to figure out which way to go, especially on offense, it was a pretty competitive practice. They had a lot of energy, which is good. But it's kind of fun to watch the new guys that we have, offensive linemen, tight ends, running backs. Obviously, the receiver group is a young group with some experience, not a lot. Defensive backs, a lot of those guys played last year. We anticipate the two safeties coming in and battling for positions as well. Linebacker position, we've got some veterans coming back there, which is good. D linemen, we brought in some new D linemen, and we're probably in the market because we have some flexibility to still go out and get some players after spring, because as you know, the portal is free agency in college football, and it'll ramp itself up again after spring ball. We anticipate that, so we've saved a couple in our pocket to make sure that we can go out and play in that market of free agency. Questions?
Hold on, Coach. Try one thing. Let's move these away. Move that one away. Try that.
Better? Okay. I think that's better. Good. Yes, sir.
Concerning the defense, even though you lost some starters like DJ and like Tyler Johnson there in Bundle, it looks like the front seven is still pretty established and really more question marks. Maybe not so much with the quarterbacks or with the safeties. I mean, you're with that assessment?
Pretty good assessment. I think with Nesta here and Lole being inside, obviously, we're still in the market of maybe looking for another guy. The safeties are one that not a lot of experience, but some. Twin played back there. Corners have played some, but here again, we're still in the market because you guys know we play a lot of man-to-man. We put our quarters under a lot of stress. It was interesting yesterday talking to a lot of the scouts at the pro day. They were very impressed with the way our corners play. And the fact that we put so much stress on them. And we play a lot of man-to-man, even three deep zones. For us, it's man-to-man for the most part. So that's a good attribute to have. And we feel like we've got some young guys that have some talent. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, hey Coach, Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15. It's been a while since we last heard from a guy asking a non-X's and O's question, and that is 5 assistant coaches are gone in the wake of this NCAA investigation. You're still here. I'm sure you've heard a lot of the noise. What do you say to those people that question if you should still be at that?
Well, first of all, I don't listen to the noise. And this is about spring football. It's about the coaches that are here and the players that are here. And that's where it's at. Any of that other stuff, I won't comment on it. That's just where I'm at with it. And that's the way it is.
Do you feel like it's a distraction? Yeah, do you feel like it's a distraction? I know there was a headline a week ago where your former players said it was distracting last season. How do you keep the guys in the locker room from hearing about it?
Well, you can listen to what you want to listen to, but I think right now they're listening to the fact that there's competition at a lot of positions in spring football. And they're excited about spring football. And that's where we're at as a football team. And these players have been resilient, started during COVID, and pretty resilient football team. So we're focused on competing and trying to win positions, and coaches coaching, and it's fun to get back on the grass.
Obviously, the quarterbacks are going to be under a lot of scrutiny in quarterback competition this spring. What are you looking for from that position group, and what kind of timeline do you feel comfortable with making this?
Well, it's only the first day, obviously, and you have to just see who can manage the offense. And one key is to, not turn the ball over, and that was a little bit of our Achilles heel last year. We turned the ball over along with fouls. We got to get that corrected. The 4 bad halves we played, that showed up, turnovers and fouls. And we fouled way too much last year, and a lot of them were non-competitive fouls. 50 of them were non-competitive fouls. And when I say that, that means the ball didn't move. So the ball wasn't even in play. And we jump off sides, we do something on defense, whatever it may be. We can fix that. and that has to be fixed. But for the quarterback, it's who can run the offense, right? How do you move the offense? And it's going to be kind of fun to watch. We've got some guys with some talent, and we'll just let it play out, see where it's at.
How would you self-scout?
I don't self-scout myself. That's not my job, to be quite honest. So I'll leave it at that. I never did it as a head coach in pro football. I don't do it in college football. I know one thing. I enjoy coaching my players, and I think my players enjoy playing here. So that's how I look at it.
And then filling in with transfers, you're not the first coach to do that. Is that a philosophy, or is that a need right now?
It was for us, it's both in the fact that you have another way of collecting talent. Now, what I do believe, and I think this is the sad part of it, of the free agency in college football, that you're going to deny some high school players some scholarships, right? Because now you go into free agency. It used to be the JCs. Now you have JCs, you have transfers, you have the portal. But I think if you're looking at certain positions, and for us, it was the offensive line. We need some veteran guys that have played because we feel like we got a pretty good team coming back. So at certain positions, you dabble there. I still think you build the foundation of your team with high school players. But we were in the mode of we're losing so many guys because of COVID last year. We lost 20 players. I mean, 9 of them should have been in the combine. Tyler was the only guy that didn't go, right? And so you lose that amount of players, and you sit there and you go, well, wait a minute now. How are we going to fill this? So we knew that going into last year's season. We said, we're going to deal in free agency because it's available to us. And we're fortunate enough to get some pretty good players. Fun to watch.
Last year with the passing game, explosiveness, and where do you think you're at with your receivers, your tight end position, the elite coordinator, beyond the quarterback?
Work in progress, and you make a point. I think the game that I reflect on is the UCLA game, where we had some explosive passes in the passing game. And we ran the ball well, hit some big plays, and then we kind of sputtered in and out of the season. I think a lot of that has to do with our running game. We have to be more consistent there to get more guys in the box so you're able to hit the big explosion plays. I think a lot of times we were behind the chains at times. We were playing behind, first and 15 due to a foul, whatever. Second and long, we were in a lot of bad situations, so that kind of dictates what you have to do offensively. So I think what we're trying to do, and you mentioned it, we have some young receivers that we think have potential. They haven't been on the big stage yet a lot. Ricky is probably the guy that's been on the stage the most. The tight ends, we've got a good group of tight ends, I think. Probably the best group that we've had. Hodges had a great year for us last year, no doubt. But I think we've got some young guys that have come in that'll help us there. So the running back situation is interesting. There's some talent there. You lose Rashad White, and as you guys know, he was a big part of our offense. I mean, he helped us a lot in the run game, pass game. So it's first day of practice. We'll kind of see where it goes. But it's fun to watch the guys compete. I do know that.
You were heavily channelized on offense last year, obviously. You kind of were building out what you were going to be this year for spring football. Like, did you look at some differences in your installs or how you did anything that would perhaps contribute to your ability to be better than that?
No, I think you make the point, and I think I go back to the non-competitive fouls. Those are the ones you can correct, right? It's just whether it's movement, whether it's noise, whether it's too many shifts and formations. I don't know. Just talking with Brian and Glenn about that, how do we fix this? That's fixable. That's not like we committed a foul. It's a foul, but it's a non-competitive foul. It's the ball didn't move. So that's just more focus and concentration. So we got to fix that. And we talked about that a lot over the off season, and we've really told the players that this is the direction we got to go, and they know.
With so many new faces on your staff without an associate head coach, do you delegate as much as you have in the past, or not to?
No.
I know you were hands-on before, but we become more
as much as I can be. I don't want to micromanage people. You hire people that you feel like you trust, and they'll do a good job. I mean, Brian is here, so that helps because he's with the offense as much as I am, but I can, move. Donnie, I know. Donnie was my coordinator in New York. So it's kind of like the people in the building, I know who they are. Marvin can be in two places as well. So I just think it's us coming together as a staff, like you always have to do. You're coming together with 20 plus new players. There's a chemistry. I do believe just being around these guys the last 2 months, there's a different chemistry. It just is. It's just a different football team. And you could feel it. They feel it. The players feel it. It's just different. And I think every year you understand that. You don't know how that comes together, but it's come together pretty nice so far.
In regards to Brian, can you give us an idea just what he's put his fingerprints on?
Well, I know we met for numerous days together, obviously, and I think he's in the mindset that I think we both share in the fact that we want to do certain things in an offense. Not saying offense was bad last year, it wasn't. It was, we sputtered at times. But I think we want to get back to some basic football, and I think it starts with our run game. We were kind of in and out with the run game, right? And a lot of it had to do, and I'll go back to it again, we put ourselves in some bad situations on offense, on first downs. Either fouls or negative plays. And then you're always trying to catch up. And that was our problem. We didn't score a lot of points in the first quarter of play. I want to say 12 games, we scored 68 points. So you're playing from behind. We gave up, 82 in the first quarter of games, but we were playing from behind. It's just interesting when you look at quarters and you look at the football game, and I'll say it again, we played 4 bad halves. We're basically in those halves, total, we turned the ball over 9 times, and we committed an average of 11 penalties in winning those games. Those are the 4 we lost. It was half of the game, not the whole game, it was half of the game. And when you look at those games, they come back to bite you. You're playing teams that all have winning records, and you can't do that. And so we can fix some of that. That's fixable.
And then Michelle.
Yes, sir.
This is your second time in Tempe where you're replacing an established starter on the quarterback position.
That's not fun.
Going
By the
back
way.
to the quarterback competition with Jayden and Joey, what lessons can you take from that to apply to this competition?
Well, I've been fortunate. When I was in New York, I had Vinny Testaverde and Chad Pennington my first year as a head coach. And that was the deal. It was, okay, who's the quarterback? Is it Vinny? Is it Chad? Is it Vinny and Chad? And it was Vinny. And then we hit a rough spot our second year, and we were 2-5, and I told Chad, I said, you're a quarterback. And ended up winning the division. We made a change. So I understand the competition of it. As you mentioned, when Jayden first arrived with Joey, we didn't know. We just threw the ball out there and said, hey, whoever plays well is going to be the starter, and it worked out. We knew a freshman was going to start. Jayden happened to be the guy. This year, we're throwing the ball out there. And they'll all get to work with the first group, and we'll figure it out. And that's all you can do. And then you got to make a decision, right? Is the quarterback here? Is he not here? Don't know that. Hopefully he's in the building. Right? If not, then there's always plan B. Right? I always say it. Plan that can't be changed is a bad plan. So you have a plan doing something, and if it has to be changed, you better be in position to change it. And so we'll be in position to do what we have to do to make sure we get the best quarterback to play the position. And hopefully the guy's here. I'd love for that to happen. And we don't know that yet because first day of practice, right? That's where it's at.
At the college level with the transfer portal, at the college level with the transfer portal, is it a new wrinkle both having a quarterback potentially leave and then also, like you said,
Well, I do know this, two really good teams in our conference, Oregon and Utah, had portal quarterbacks. So it's not like it hasn't been done. I mean, it's just, and you gotta, when you're the coach, you gotta be way ahead of this. You gotta see this coming. And, I didn't sit here lost, not seeing it coming. I knew it was coming. I knew free agency was coming. Well, how do you deal with it? And so we were prepared to deal with it. And we brought in some pretty good players, in my opinion.
Michelle, anything?
You talked about a lot of new players, 26 new faces. Do you sense that maybe there's less complacency than maybe last year? And I know you've always preached competition, but a guy that's a senior, that's been a senior, that's been a starter, it's different than maybe a lot of new guys that can be playing fight.
That's a great point. I think this, and I think every coach will probably admit this. The COVID year was interesting because it allowed a lot of players to come back. With that being said, this is a lot of football now. As a college player, right? A lot of football. And, you got the seasoned veteran now. And everything he did when he was a sophomore and a freshman, we do it now, he's a fifth-year senior. Why are we doing that? Well, we've always done it that way. He's been doing it too long. And so that's the juggling act you have to deal with. It's like the veteran guy in the NFL that he's got another year left. And it's like, okay, how do I treat them all fair? Can't treat them all the same. Because that's life. You understand that. And how you treat them, you got to make sure they all understand this is what I got to do to this guy. Because he's played a lot of football. We had a lot of guys that come back that played a lot of college football, right? And so it's different now. Because the transfer guys left somewhere else, come here, they're excited about the opportunity. The young guys that were sitting behind the older guys that maybe thought they should have played, but those guys came back, didn't play a lot. And so now they get an opportunity. So that's where the excitement is for the football team. Yeah, you can see it, you can feel it. Yeah, you can feel it every day. When I see these guys on Saturdays working out here, I mean, there hasn't been a Saturday where a group of guys have not been on this turf working out on their own before we start spring ball. I'm here Saturday, and I look out my window, there's guys out there working out. It's interesting. And no coaches out there because coaches can't be out there. They've done that for the last month and a half. On Saturday, like, okay, a group of guys get together, they go out there and they do stuff, drills, and I sit there and watch them. I go, that's interesting. And no coaches tell them to do it. They're doing it on their own. So good for them.
With the new offensive coordinator, how much is different in the offensive system? What's the learning curve for guys?
Some of the verbiage might have changed a little bit. I think that helps you some because players feel like, oh, I got to learn a little something different. But a lot of it is the same, to be quite honest. It's, plays are plays. There's no new plays in football. There's really not. All run the same plays. How do you go about doing it? I think you'll see, you watch practices, and we got in the huddle. That's kind of fun. Get in the huddle instead of looking at all the Daffy Duck and, Mickey Mouse and all those people hold up. There's so many signs in football now. You get entertained by the signs, right? We got in the huddle where the quarterback actually had to call a play. It's interesting. That's kind of fun just to watch, But, we can get out of the huddle too, but just little things like that. But probably more play action, more of a play action team, under center maybe a little bit more, right? That's part of it, and I think that helps you. So it's interesting to see how it evolves.
Herm King from 3TV CBS 5. You said you weren't surprised you were ready for the transfer portal.
Yes.
How surprised were you when you did?
Well, you know what? I'll say this. We thank him for all he's done here. He helped us win a lot of football games. And I wish him much success. I got 5 other quarterbacks to figure out who the guys are. So that's where that's at.
Philosophical question, I guess. The big why why can't you not do anywhere from 5 guys, top level guys, this campus, this climate, in this conference, Power Five, they win at a high level. I'm sure that's something you thought about when you were in ESPN growing up.
It's just, the recruiting is you got to recruit, you know, and it's just, you got so many schools now that they want all these players, you know, and you got to nationally recruit. You have to try to do that. We have tried to do that. I do think this, as I said it before, the portal hurts high school football. It does. And no, you know, coaches might not want to say that, but it's the truth. It does. But it also helps you in a program to go get a veteran guy that maybe he's not getting the opportunity somewhere else, right? Or feels like, you know what, or he's not a Power 5 player coming out of high school because he hasn't developed and he's not got a lot of offers. He goes to a school that's not a Power 5, a good player, now he puts himself on the market. That hurts those schools too, by the way, right? Because now they're dealing with, oh, my best player could leave. He wants to be a Power 5 player. I mean, this is a little bit of a mess, you know, and I think it'll find its way. And then I ain't gonna talk about the other part. I don't even want to touch that one, you know. And that's then you got even more problems. You know what I'm talking about? No, not that. This just, you know, that just, I mean, it's.
You almost have to embrace
Oh, you have to, because you can get it fixed. You can fix it. If you need a veteran guy, there's a guy out there, and these guys are smart. They kind of know where they look at schools and go, oh, they might need this guy, right? And you know sometimes they call you, right? I mean, so it's just a lot. It's interesting to say the least. It's very interesting.
When it comes to defensive philosophy, just because Donnie was here last year and you have to talk about a lot of experience almost in a teaching position, would it be really more of the same, especially with the success?
Well, yeah, you look at numbers, and some would say we're the number 1 defense in the conference, and that's attributed to the coaches and to the players. You know, they did a great job last year, and a lot of it's going to stay the same. There's no doubt. A couple things maybe a little bit different. I'm not going to say it now, right? Because I don't need to tell our opponents anything like that. But the foundation of it has been built, and it's pretty good. It's really pretty good. It's fun to watch it. It's fun to watch it play. Yeah.
So Herm, with obviously a new DC, familiar face, obviously. How does dynamic between you and Donnie compare now as opposed to 17 years ago in New York?
Well, here's the story of Donnie. So he's my coordinator in New York. He did a great job. He really did. And, you know, obviously defensive and offensive, you have a script of what you want to run. And I'd stand on the sideline and I'd watch an offense and they might hit a play. And they hit another play. By the third time now, I look over there and I see Donnie. And this is the script. And I'd hear on my microphone from Donnie, Coach, I'm off the script. And I knew what that meant. Hope we get to the quarterback, because we're bringing everybody. He's bringing the whole house. He said, I'm going to stop this. And when you heard him say, I'm going off the script, I said, okay, I'm going to cross my fingers, because 2 things are going to happen. Either we're going to stop them, or we receive. And that's how he operated. He's an aggressive guy, and he gets it. He understands it. I told him, I said, I don't want to hear that. Don't tell me you're off the script. Not in the first series. Please don't tell me you're off the script. But he's fun to be around. I've known Donnie a long time. He was in training camp when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles. He brought him to training camp. He was a corner. You know, he obviously was there about maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But that's when I first met him. Never knew we'd cross again, but we did. And, he was a really, really good football coach and a good friend.
You get the sense that he still has that same edge.
Oh yeah, now.
Years later?
Oh yeah, yeah. He got a little something to him now. Yeah, he's been around a lot of good players, coached a lot of good players. He was with the Ravens, obviously. He was with us in New York. He's been around now. He's in Buffalo. He's a good football coach.
Coach, with Shaw News, I'm curious, very first day of spring practice, what is it you look out for particularly, and how do you feel about the yellow backfield without Shot?
Oh yeah, Shad was out there today. I asked him, did he want to come back? He said no. It'll be interesting. There's some talented players back there. It's going to be fun to watch. Very competitive group. Coach Iguana does a nice job with those running backs. I think the first day of practice for me, you want to make sure that the rhythm of the practice kind of goes, because you have so many new guys and you don't know. You get a collection of all these new guys, you don't know how they practice, right? And so the first thing I had to do was, before we went to practice, show them on tape, this is how we practice here when we're in helmets, right? Tempo. Because I'm not saying anybody does it different, but you don't know. And so they needed to get a feel of what needed to be done. And so that was kind of fun to watch. And then to watch them how they kind of adjusted to what we needed to do today. So it's a pretty good day. No one got hurt, which is good. And we're some guys out there that are still wounded that we didn't practice all our guys. There's some guys that are getting healthy due to surgery or some nicks during spring. So we weren't in full force, but got the makings. That's going to be fun to kind of develop it and make it. Yes, sir. Him and Jack? Yeah. Well, we still got a guy, we got a couple guys that still like chirping. In the secondary, you got no shot. There's always a guy or two. So, they just take the mound. They just, okay, Chase and them are gone, so I guess I got to be the guy now. So there's always a few. They can't help themselves. Between them and the wide receivers, they're always they're the little mockingbirds, Well, first day, but to Marcus, obviously, he's played a lot of college football. So he's the veteran guy now, for the most part, back there. He's probably played the most of all those guys. And you could see his maturity. He decided to come back. He could have left, but he came back for another year. I'm glad he did, because he came on for us last year. He started in the Wisconsin game, and along with Twin. It's kind of interesting. I watched the workout yesterday of our guys working out, and I looked at some of our defensive players, and I said, 5 of these guys didn't even play in our last game. They were all starters. They were working out for pro day. I'm going, these 5 guys didn't even play in the game. And there was another guy that, the running back, he didn't play either. Had 9 starters, didn't play. And 5 of them were on defense. And they were all working out yesterday for pro football. It was nice to see Nikhil. Had a nice visit with Nikhil. He looks good. So it's fun to see those guys.